Okay. I'll try not to move around too much. But anyway, I started a video yesterday where I brought up the subject of Boy Scouts and how a couple decades ago, um, the the pedos in it were being switched around and either knowingly or unknowingly, but it looks like it was known. And then instead of pressing full charges against these men, they they just let them reapply and start someplace else, and they had their names and stuff on record. Um, so there's literally people in the higher ups that are responsible for this, and it's kind of a surprise because it's a father-son kind of thing that we desperately need, and it's no wonder they would want to make it a bad thing, and this whole toxic masculinity and stuff was starting to bubble up, birthing pains, as you say, and then it says, well, let's just make it look not the strong father building strong men that it was designed for, but wherever there's the vulnerable, there's going to be predators, and there's so many simple rules I could have just followed. But my concern was then they switched it to let's make it so little girls can join, and then they did. They joined what was to be the Scouts, they called it, and it was for boys and girls, and that was the end of it. Nobody heard anything more. And so now we're into the next decade, and there's really no surprise that other men have been caught, as well as probably some women that were enabling or just turning a blind eye, just worried about the bottom dollar, and so they changed their name again. And they were saying that they're changing it from Boy Scouts. No, they're not. They weren't the Boy Scouts for decades. That's a lie. That's a huge lie. You abandoned the father-sons in your motto or whatever, and you took on this child care thing, and it's literally a pain in the ass. I mean, just stand up for boys and say, hey, you know what? There's going to be some serious consequences if you even suggest. If anybody comes forward, and that would really put the end of it. It'll open up a lot of witch hunts, yes, but if that's what we got to do to protect the kids, then that's what we got to do. And it just blows my mind. There's so many fathers involved and stuff, and you know they could be predators too. Don't get me wrong, but yeah. So I'm kind of mad. Well, I'm very angry about that because it's so prevalent that, you know, they get rid of all the family values. Every fatherhood, if you got a strong father on TV, I guarantee you the show will be canceled. And just like Roseanne. Roseanne was a pro-family show, and like so many others, they just come and then they go, and they have to bring up any little controversy, any dirt, and they're guilty until proven innocent. And yeah, and everybody goes to Hollywood or anywhere, and they got stars in their eyes. They really want this, and they know what competition they got. They got the 6-year-olds with lipstick on and bikinis, and they let them go to parties and stuff, and it's crazy, and it's greed. And I've watched like the Michael Jackson thing and some of his early interviews and stuff, and he was really concerned about the boys in Hollywood, and that he would take them under his wing. And I always, nobody thought anything of it. They just thought it was weird. Of course, he is weird. He's not usual. But then I thought, well, if everybody's doing it, and it's so thick, and they're so thick as thieves down there, and he builds this big ranch, and he does all of this stuff, and he has all the money, and he takes them under his wing, so they don't have to spend the night with strangers and on movie sets and stuff, and maybe he's trying to protect them. There's always that question, and you don't see him, in court telling them his side of the story in detail or anything. You just get clips of it, and that's really strange. And yeah, I mean he did eventually have kids. Oh, here's a mosquito. Mosquito, you want to try my new medication I took this morning, huh? Not gonna happen. What's that one? And you're just a gnat, and you're another mosquito. Well, I'm gonna get eaten up by mosquitoes out here. I did not spray myself with enough chemicals. Yeah. That's gonna be distracting. Going on to my next subject. Well, that subject was brought up because I just spoke about it in my rant about that, because you're probably asking yourself, well, why does that concern me? I'm single. I'm going to be this way all my life. So why would I be worried about it? And my thing is that I had a good childhood. I had my first crush, and everything was innocent. And I always look back and I say, it could have been, it could have been, should have been, would have been. And I look back and I'm like, oh, I could do things, and I was free to do things. I had no feelings. Everything was like the first time it was fresh. And with me and my buddy, he was it was always nervousness and tension, and I just wanted to hang out with him all the time and to do usual things and just stick around him. It was there. I mean, I was young and I was ready, but I wasn't pushing it. I figured I was, gonna wait till I was 18 for that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I was kind of physically, I was offered it several times in different occasions, but I never took action in that way. I, not that I thought it was wrong, it was just with the wrong people, the wrong circumstances. It just didn't feel right. Yeah. So that's been my life, and it comes and goes. Once in a while I'll be with kids, and I'll just fall in love with the kids and their innocence, and get them little gifts and stuff. And but that's as far as it goes. It's just like being a good uncle or being a good aunt or something. Being a good neighbor or friend, and everybody has to be on the lookout at all the times, and so it's like you got to give them that space. But yeah, yeah, cause they'll bring it up. They'll bring it up. They'll probably wait till your back is turned, but they'll be bringing up their concerns and stuff, and that's gonna be with me for the rest of my life. It's like, oh, they're gonna talk about you and stuff, and I'm like, well, I don't care. It's their imagination against the facts. Oh yeah, and it's the same. It's the same with adults. It's like, well, you don't have very many friends that come out you can hang out with, or call, and right now call, and maybe they'd be here. And who else with your family would you call, and they'd be here? Would they call me? Would I be there? I can tell you that if you live too far away, I wouldn't be there. Chipmunk, you're back in this video again? Yeah. Yeah, I made a Bible reading video, and the chipmunk just chirped at me the whole time from the tree, because I was sitting on its home, which was under a little shed over here, but it's gone now. Shed. How do you, chipmunk? So yeah. So my ex-boss was a liar, and he would he would lie when he didn't have to, which is the most annoying. I mean, it's like the first time, red flags went up. I'm like, are we dealing with a narcissist? Why is he being over nice at certain times and certain situations? But other than that, it's like he just doubles down on these lies. And sometimes they're about me or what I did. And so summer was getting over, and I had to work in behind the counter, and I redid the lottery so that it made more sense, and people could actually see this, and we could just gather it all in one place instead of going down the ladder, down the counter in the back, and then so then there would be space, because they were bringing in some expensive booze bottles. They didn't have any shelf space. So so in the end, there was more shelf space. The lottery was all together, and everything would have been just fine. But everything was working too. Everything was working just fine. The next morning, I go in, and it's all back to normal. And this kid said he had moved everything back and stuff, and that my boss was mad at me, and so he did come up to me and says he moved it all back because the lottery screen wasn't working. And I was so careful with the lottery screen cord that I actually moved the cord and just held on to the TV. I did not move the TV thing, the monitor. I moved it by the cord, so the cord was loose and stuff. I knew where the cord was, and I just could move the monitor with it. And that's what careful people do when you're moving electronics and stuff. And he had the gall to tell me that it wasn't working when he came in. And I'm like, oh really? And he's like, yes. And they had to call and they had to work on the monitor, and it took all morning, and that I screwed it up, and yeah, and he told me not to do that, and that, you know, and I'm like, well, I just thought I was improving the place, you know. And so anyway, I did agree with him. I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't have messed with it at all, and just let you do your little lottery your way. But yeah, I'm getting really worried because I don't want mosquitoes biting me. Especially seeing these airplanes drop off their little loads. I knew you'd go out. They always go out. Okay. So then, I was asked to work a Monday, the beginning of the next month, and I also had a hearing aid appointment, and I just had a $4,000 it would have normally cost me, and make sure I have it. Hello, hello. Hmm. Yeah. And so Monday rolled around, and I completely forgot that I told somebody I would work for them on that Monday. And so Tuesday, when I came in, I was told that my boss and his stock boy, day stock boy, had to work double shifts, which was unbelievable in a sense because you using two people to replace me, and all it was a cashier. I was just a cashier, and that really didn't make any sense. And he was standing in the office when he was talking to me, and so he wrote me up saying, I didn't show up and stuff. And I'm like, look, when you get an opportunity to get hearing aids, you do it. I'm trying to do this, not only for myself but for the store and for everything else. And yeah, he still proceeded to write me out because, in fact, the facts are you were supposed to show up and you didn't, and you knew it had you cared, I guess. And so yeah, so I agreed with it that maybe I should have. But then I went out on the floor and I asked the cashier that worked the night before and about how it was working with the both of them the night before, the Monday night. And they said they left at 2. And I'm like, what? I was just written up because they had to both work the double shift. So that was a lie, and the the stock boy that was standing in his office having to hear him and nod his head as the boss lied, he either the next day or right after, sometime he put in his 2 week notice, and like most people, they don't mention as to why or what drove them to putting in their notice. And apparently these situations are similar, that he thinks he can get away with it because everybody needs this job, and and he's like the key holder to your success and your money and stuff, and 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 he's really not, and he just convinces himself. So yeah, that's a shame. I mean, all these people having to walk out because they're not. It's a liability for them to have to sit there and listen to him lie, and so, and it's also a liability for the company. But obviously, the company doesn't give a shit because they're just kind of like throwing in the towel and says, "Well, we'll just ride this for as long as we can." But they know competition is moving in with the Dollar General and other things. So yeah, instead of kind of do something. Um, and then one day I come in and I smell something awful, and and I think I clocked in or something. I don't know. I don't even think I clocked in. But I was walking around the back. I went to the bathroom because I always go to the bathroom as soon as I show up, and there's this smoky something burning, and I open up a laundry room door, and there's a bucket full of rags, smoking from the inside like a smoldering, like linseed oil. Linseed oil. This is classic, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was. And even an afterthought is if it was done on purpose. But somebody had taken a 5-gallon bucket full of dirty rags from Webster, and then they put it was burning, it's smoldering in the laundry room in a big trash can. So we got this fire hazard just smoldering there. I mean, give it enough oxygen, it's gonna burst into flame. And 3 feet away from it is the mop sink, and nobody even thought about just drowning it out. They just left it sitting in there smoldering, and yeah, it was stupid. And the logical thing was for me to throw it into the sink, the whole bucket into the sink, and run water into it until it was out. And then I let everybody know, and my boss at the time, he's like, he didn't say nothing. He just kept working, and I thought that was really strange. And then other people, they couldn't believe it, but they could smell it, and customers could smell it, and nobody said really thank you. It wasn't their place to thank me or anything, but I got absolutely nothing. Never heard from anybody about putting out a fire, and people were surprised that that's what it was, and everything was so nonchalant there. I mean, it's one of those situations where I do have a second thought that maybe they wanted the store to burn down, or at least that part. And yeah, That was just crazy. And then it got more of his stupid bullshit. But also about the same time, I I had put in my notice that fall, a 2 week notice, and I went down to talk to the owner, and then later I changed my mind. I'm like, it's in the fall. It's gonna be a hard time to find a job because they're all trying to cut back and do the winter schedule, and so I knew that, and then and so I took back my thing and a 2 week notice, and he's just like, well, you owe everybody an apology and this and that, and then he says, and the owner smelled booze on you, and that's one of the things that I'm like, it smelled booze on me, and I'm like, tell me, what does that mean? Does that mean that I was drinking that day, or is that drinking that night? What are you trying to say? Because it's like a fear power factor. It's like, oh, I'm scared, you know. I'm not a closet alcoholic. If I'm drinking, I'll let you know. I usually do. But, yeah. So, well, that was weird. Um, yeah, you have to pull that out. It wasn't. It was bad. He wanted to put me in the spot and have some power over me anyway. And I could feel it. I could feel it because every time I'm like, oh, scared of fear or have to second guess myself, I'm like, is this real? Because I had no qualms about what I was doing. When I put my 2 week notice in, I did have qualms about asking for a job. And yeah. And there nothing was addressed. I think there was nothing about what I said, which is that for the last, ever since I started and been a cashier, I've been helping train in my bosses, and I and and I thought that's really unfair. And so instead of just giving me the keys and the code, which is all they would have had to do, because I don't know why they have this night person. Um, it just has a few things to do, and so it didn't make sense to me. It's inefficient. It's like having an extra person there, but yeah. So that was not even addressed. Hey, chipmunk. But you would have been cute, but you're just typical chipmunk. You look like one. You can make noise though. You can chirp. Yeah. Yeah. So he needs his. He's been called out. I'm not scared of calling him out. I'm not scared of asking questions. I'm not scared of like doing um looking through everything that's going on and stuff. And I'm really observative, and that store was like my home. And everybody in town knows it. And everybody watching this will know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, if you're Native American and probably female or well male, it didn't really matter. But if you're wearing the wrong jacket and in the wrong liquor aisle, they will be watching you like a hawk. If you even looking at the booze and stuff. I mean, that they have a lot of this. I guess it's racism. I don't know what else you could call it, but I've never. If I see it, if I know what's happening, if I got evidence of this, and it's happened repeatedly, I'll 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 note that and let people know, and then if you just go through the thing. But when you get these regular customers coming in that maybe related to them, or maybe that you've seen them with the other people you suspect of shoplifting, that you can't make them feel uncomfortable, because they'll know exactly what you're looking for, and it's not as if you're saving the store or something. I just don't like it. I don't like looking at people and saying, well, she's always wearing this jacket. Well, it's her favorite jacket. So what? And she looks like she's related to, and blah blah, all this other stuff. I'm like I'm like that's not who they are. You really don't know who they are. And and these people have become my friends, and whether they're shoplifting or not, they can be my friends. But you know, I I don't know. It's just not my job to judge. I guess it's always it's always nice, because I've always felt that, well, they're probably not stealing when I'm working, because I talk to them and everything else. They have to have their composure and confidence and everything, and just be real with me. Um, and at the time I liked drinking too, so I would talk to them about drinking, and they'd be buying their little shots and stuff. And other people would say, well, this is what they could have done. They could have just took these shots out and then put them in their pocket. And and for me, that just blows my mind. I'm like, you could do that with every single person. Every single person. They could have been grabbing the candy bars and been doing this. It's just bizarre. It's like you keep distracting. Yes, there was some people. They acted like professional shoplifters, and I actually called one of the I guess the patsies out, because I saw a problem with him. He was being used by these girls and stuff, and I'm like, it ain't worth it. It is not worth it. And he's been to jail so many times, and he keeps falling for their tricks. Yeah. Oh, I got more notes. Oh, do you remember like 20 years ago when the Somalis in Minneapolis, many of them were sending their young daughters to Michigan to have parts of the little girls removed, because they said that only whores need them, those parts. And so when the U.S. government, I guess, found out about it, they wanted to shut it down and stuff, and they did. And they put the doctor under arrest. And then 20 years later or so, or less, suddenly we have kids, because of rights. They're going and they're having their whole sex organs and surgeries, and hormones and everything. And it's like, well, why did you stop them? Because they were harming these little girls, and now it's socially acceptable to harm many, 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 many more. And then you got this little app on their phone, and they're hooked on it. They're literally hooked on it, and yeah, it's just weird. You know, I think there was an Egyptian god, or maybe a queen or something, and she had black onyx, which is black glass, and she used to have a lot of vanity. I guess she was like a god or priestess of vanity, and she would walk all over and always be checking her makeup and everything, and making sure she was the most beautiful person. And she lost a lot of respect, and people did not like her and kind of grew away from her as she was sucked into her own reflection. And that's the way I kind of feel about smartphones. When you allow that vanity or that distraction, it's it's like you know, deadly sin, I guess. But yeah, I don't know how I know this, but I've always took note of certain things and to look out for, and then seeing one thing, I'm like, oh gosh, that reminds me of this, and you know, so the baby powder back in the blue sky is coming back. The sun is setting. It's getting like somebody dumped baby powder from planes. I saw a chemtrail earlier, just a little one. Don't want to be too obvious. They got a full day tomorrow to make it cloudy. I don't know why. There's sunshine, I guess. I don't know. They need to keep spending money and keep dumping stuff in their skies, so then next year their budget might be bigger. Or maybe they better hurry up and dump it all, because next year they may not be in office. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. This is my cloud watching chair. I bought this specifically to watch the clouds and keep track of the plane. You know, if you shine, oh, never, I shouldn't even say that. There's ways to distract the clouds, but they'll find out. They'll take pictures of you. Don't make it a habit. Of anything. Yeah. Now, there's my notes about the voice coach. Okay. Nowadays, everybody's under the amazing hatred for Russia. Russia, the people who didn't have religion and then brought back Orthodox Christianity back into the country, and it exploded. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the whole story about how this happened or something stuff, but a lot of those churches and stuff, the people came back. They flooded back, and 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 you know, it's so cheap to live over there. It's like $300. I just saw on the internet, like $300 for an apartment a month, and and they filled up a grocery cart with what cost them 1/3 or less of what we're paying. 1/3 or less. So that means your $2 eggs are probably 66 cents. and it was crazy. It was eye opening. It's like no wonder they hate Russia. They want to go with war with Russia. It was never planned, but the wall fell, and they thought, well, America would have victory over Russia somehow, some way that Russia would take America and be like, oh, we're going to be more like America. We're going to let the liberals run. We're going to do this and do that. And Russia figured that out quite quickly. And then leadership in Russia said, well, we got to stop this. And so they never went to the federal dollar system, or anything like that, and the Christianity, family values were upheld. And Russia is an amazing country, and they don't let immigrants flood in. And yeah, it's great that the beacon of hope is is something they hate. And one of the big things too is just the religion aspect of Russia. And yeah, and some of those European Eastern countries. So it just wows me that people are like, see, like these guys, they have these beautiful subway routes, they have these beautiful trains, everybody is so polite, and we're not. We're not. And we have cities like Chicago, or just life in general is so expensive that it shouldn't be. And instead of fixing it, they take another government agency and poop it out, and then it just grows. I mean, none of these three-letter agencies should have that much power. They're not elected. We owe them nothing, and they're not doing their job. They're tools to one party or another. And if they're going to act like tools to one party or another, it doesn't matter to me which party they pick. But we shouldn't be giving them tax dollars. And I don't know. They seem to be doing more harm than good. So I see that there are American families on the waiting list to move to Russia, and it's funny because one of the biggest Democrats they had was Bernie Sanders, who loved old Russia. He loves Cuba. He got married there. He had a honeymoon there in one of the places, or both. And he's awfully quiet now. And I just don't think that, the DNC must have looked at him and says, you love Russia too much, and we're going to hate Russia. We're going to set all these people up, and we have to destroy Russia, and we have to destroy our adversaries and political enemies. And we're going to use Russia to do it because we hate Russia, and they have everything we're against. God, family, affordability, values, everything they don't. I'm sure somebody's going to prove me wrong or something because they saw this, they saw that. Well, I saw this, I saw that. And I came to my own conclusion. And then we have the China problem. It's like, America's trucks, American-made trucks. They're modern now, so they need chips, computer chips in them. And so they weren't getting chips because of supplies, stuff. And then like supplies, and there's no videos of out of China about them, what they're doing with the chips, and which is suspicious in itself. But just the fact that we're making all of these trucks, but we're not getting the chips, and then COVID came along, and they're saying that in the vaccine there are nano chips, and there's billions and billions of these vaccines that were just made and came right up out of the blue like they were already made and ready to go. And and if that's true, then that would explain why there was no chips to be put in these trucks, because they're using all the same materials for these vaccine chips that they could have used, that they were planned to be used in the trucks, but they just scrapped that and took this on, and they must have made a lot of money because nobody had to pay for it, but they'll be paying for their own and everybody else's too. And it's where we're at. I always thought it was funny too about George Floyd. Do you think this story would go down the same if George Floyd was wearing a pro-Trump shirt? If George Floyd was pro-Trump and had a drug problem? I think that's a hard question that people have to answer, because I doubt he would be anybody's hero. Oh. So yeah. And then, for sexual exception. I also think it's funny too about the other stuff. I guess that says a lot. Other stuff I was saying about the Bernie Sanders and the Russia thing. It's like that's why they got rid of him. Must have been because if they hate Russia, they must hate Bernie Sanders too. And then we have all these trans now. This trending trans, and they're getting older, and they're doing what they can with their bodies, which is a lot of sex work and a lot of stripping and stuff. And they're limited to what they can do, but there's ways that they can hide it, and they're demanding that, because they're surrounded, they're under this gay umbrella, this rainbow flag. They're demanding that people see them as sexy and wanted, and I'm like, well, okay, so I should feel compelled because we had a good conversation, I should be compelled to do something sexual with you. And that should have no part. It's going to be like whatever's down there, I'm going to accept it. And because it's part of you, and you're just a wonderful person of whatever pronoun you're using. And I'm like, okay, this is something that this is what they do in gay conversion therapy. And if that's gay conversion, that's what we went through, and it was like big in the 90s, and they tried to ban it. They tried to ban it. They tried to ban it. And now we have these men slash women slash men slash women, and you don't really know what they are, and they can call themselves anything, and you have to be accepted as anything, and you should find them sexual, and you should be a good person and just do it with them. And I'm like, so we don't want to convert the gays, but we want to convert everybody we have our eyes on into whatever's down there, and it just doesn't make any damn sense. It doesn't make any damn sense. It's like most people would just say, hey, you know what? I'm not comfortable. I'm out of here, and just leave the situation. Some people are. Some people don't mind. Well, good for you then, I guess. But it probably ain't gonna last that long. So, yeah. Oh my God, another whole sheet. So, yeah. And then they got all these videos coming out of China. And they're showing people falling down in the road in the streets. This was early COVID. Everybody saw it because it was on the news. It's like there's a strange flu in China, and then they showed everybody falling down, laying down like they're planking. They're planking. That's the old trend they used to do. And these other people had the body bags with the guy smoking in the background in his body bag, and it was like, oh, so everybody's falling for this. China, the country that won't let any stuff out of it. No filming, no nothing. There's nothing coming out of China unless if it's propaganda, unless if it's been approved by the communists there. And you're telling me that all of these videos of these Chinese that the communists want out? They don't want that out. If that was really happening, they'd be like, no, everybody's going to think our military is weak. Oh, everybody's going to think we're vulnerable. But no, this time they just, yep, let it all out. And it scared everybody. And they already had their vaccine manufacturing full throttle. And bam, they made billions. And somebody said, what happened to the goth people? What happened to the emos? And I always wonder that too. I'm like, you don't see much of them. You see some of them, but not a lot. But I think that whole movement, it kind of evolved. It evolved. It was a movement of depressed people. It was a movement of, dark moods and stuff, and victimhood. And it moved into like the transgender clown show, the liberal clown show, the anarchists, and they're like the emos and the goths from 2 decades ago, except they're bigger, they're uglier, and they do the rainbow hair color stuff that they bought at Walmart, or they pulled a bottle out of a box off the hair coloring shelf. and walked out with it. And yes, I've seen some of those empty boxes back there of your purple hair color. Huh. About, about what distracted. Hmm. There's a the big thing is if you're physically fit and you're well, let's just start off with physically fit. You're physically fit. Why the hell would you worry about getting a disease? Why are you so damn worried that this new disease, like let's say tetanus, this tetanus in the ground, it's a virus? Is it bacteria? Well, what is it? If it's dangerous, you know what? It's going to be dangerous to somebody who's not fit physically. It's going to be dangerous. Um, the bacteria or the viruses, well, if it's a bacteria or oh, I got mosquitoes. I'm just bringing the mosquitoes up tonight. But they're always saying germs. Well, yeah, let's just go that route. Here, germs. You have your bottle of Lysol, right? And you're spraying your house down 3-4 times a day, your entire house. You're not getting. If somebody's sick in your house, what you got is you got leftover toxins. Every single germ that can survive your Lysol or whatever, or just you touch something or anything, every germ releases a toxin, and they may do nothing really, like many of them do, but you might get one that produces a bad toxin, and it's not like this. Think of it as the snakes and the venom. The snakes aren't going to kill you. The bite's not killing you. The bite is just a piercing of your skin. That's not going to kill you. But if there was venom that was squeezed out of those fangs, that's going to kill you. And, and so much faster if you're not physically fit. And, yeah. And then being mentally fit is asking questions, being honest with yourself, and knowing what the hell propaganda is, and why you don't want to go with the trends. The trends are poison, though. Really, I find all the trends are poison. You start decorating your house like the trends are, or it's like your house is boring and dead. It's soulless. And there's people that up here. It's up north, lake life, and all these sayings, and it's like yeah, lake life. Have you seen the lakes on the weekend? How many boats are there? 10, 20, 30? 30 boats out there? And people out there with their little families and all their toys and everything out there in the water. And then you got your college age kids. They're out there drinking, and obviously for the whole weekend. And that's all fine and dandy. But I don't know. Okay, I mean, let's say there's the internet there, and you can find places where you can volunteer. You can call places where you can volunteer, and you could have have a weekend where you talk to people in need, or just people that wanted to help and make something, different. I mean, planting flowers in the ditch, or helping some lady weed her garden and talking to her. Um, they don't do that. People don't do that. And even all these people that are down burning the streets of the city and stuff, there's so many things they could be doing. They could just say, hey, Antifa, but we're all going to volunteer, hand out food, and then at the shelter, we're going to go clean up the rooms, and we're going to help everybody out, and that's going to be our thing now. And people will second, uh, people will just judge them differently. And And it's like, why the hell don't they do that? Why the hell? Live by example. So, just do something that will leave a lasting impression. I don't know. It's like, well, you live in your mother's basement. You have money to go down to the dollar stores and buy black clothes, and then accessorize yourself with God knows what, and then take your last $3 and buy a box of hair dye at Walmart. I'm like, or go to your clinic for STDs and transition appointments, therapy. There's a plane. I want to see it. I hope they're not dropping mosquitoes. Oh, there's the moon. Oh, I can't turn my head that bad. So yeah, anyway, that is my rant. Okay. So anyway, got a little political, not too much. You probably can guess my politics. But it doesn't. It's more about the person. Like I said before, I mean, who's the example? Who's the example you want in office? Who lives by what they say? Which is the improvement for everybody? Who wants the best for everybody?